Hi, I'm Glenn, City Valley Fishing Field Team, COF Field Team, and this round made it up to Waterloo, do some fishing. They had the Derby yesterday, and well, they stocked it with trout, so we weren't able to go yesterday, but we went this morning and was trying to do some underwater video. Did limit out, but unfortunately our underwater video didn't turn out as good as we wanted, but we did get some. Here's the rig that we used. I had the camera here, and then we had a bait here, and we had two different baits, but it kept riding up on us. We put a little split shot, and that didn't work. It kept tangling, and then we found a way to hook it down here, and we could at least get a view of one of the baits. One thing we did notice, and it was probably explains why we were able to catch them later using some bait and a split shot rig, or correction, a more like a Carolina rig, where the bait floated above us. So in this manner, we had our weight here, and we were using a little Power Nugget to keep the bait up, and or trout bait that would float, and it was keeping it above the vegetation. So in the underwater video, you'll see a lot of the vegetation there, and where several times the bait will get buried into that greenery on the bottom. And taking a look at this thing, I would say there's a good 4 to 6 inch of green stuff on the bottom before you actually hit the bottom, hard bottom. So what ended up happening is our bait would get buried in the greenery. And so a good thing is we were able to use this setup where we had a weight on the bottom. We were using bait casting gear with braided line to cast this, and just brought a fly rod, but we ended up going with bait, and luckily we were able to just do a quick rig by putting a little bass casting weight on the bottom, a short 18 inch leader fly, or correction, a small hook, and then some trout bait to keep it floating above the vegetation. And then later on, when they just wanted corn, we put a Power Nugget to make it float, and then we put the corn on the hook itself. So that ended up causing it to float. Because we tried fishing it with just corn, and it would just assuming that it would get buried in the greenery, and we weren't getting any bites that way. But as soon as we put it on the Power Nugget and got it above the vegetation, we started getting our hits there. So we did limit out, did get some video. So that said, do check out the underwater video, and we'll end it with just showing the fish that we caught at the end of the trip. And also shout out to a couple of folks that follow us on YouTube, to Terry, Red Loon, and Giuliano. It was great meeting you today. All right, till next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck and good fishing, and do check out the video.
This round we're over here at the Buc-ee's, Sunday, February 2nd, getting our breakfast of champions with some coffee and some donut sticks. And then this round we're going to bring out the 2-weight, but we're also going to try doing some underwater video, trying to get some bait shots here with the new rig. This is our underwater rig. We made some adjustments, made it smaller, a little bit more streamlined, and we checked that it's neutrally balanced, so at least it'll sit upright when it hits the bottom. And then got the hook set up so we can see two different hooks or baits while we deploy it, and hopefully it's in focus this time. So, wish us luck.
All right, we got some corn, and we'll try some power bait. There's the pond. The water's pretty high. All right, here's our setup. We got a little power bait, and we got a little corn. See what that does.
Okay, so we're launching the rig, and you can see we've got corn as well as power bait, and unfortunately there's that bottom, that green vegetation, so we'll have to do a little do-over here. Actually let it sit for about 5 minutes without a hit, so we figured better cast it back out again. Here we are doing it again, and this time a little bit better. Got the bait right in front of us, but doesn't seem to work. Also let it sit for about 5-10 minutes without a hit. So made an adjustment. In this case, made that modification where we got the line holding on the bottom, and now we're able to at least see the floating portion of the bait hanging out, and now we're starting to see some fish out in the background. So see some rainbow trout and whatnot moving about. Just past the green vegetation in the murkiness. Actually getting one hit in here. And so we did get a couple of strikes while it was in the water. Just didn't get any close-up shots like we've done previously. And there's some more of the trout kind of moving about. There's another one. And it's pretty much stayed steady. We were seeing other folks catching fish, so we knew the trout were biting. Just unfortunately, they weren't going for our bait. And we suspect it's because the bait was pretty much hidden in the green vegetation. So we think that we made some adjustments and we started getting some hits with the bait hanging above in that Carolina rig fashion that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. Here we go again, just kind of switching things out again and tossing back out again. And this area is a little bit clearer. You can see that it's in that greenery again, so we end up pulling that back out. And that sat for about a good 5-10 minutes as well. So went and checked things again, re-rigged. This time we put on a power worm to help keep it above the vegetation, and you can see it's doing so. And we actually get some really good view of some trout moving about. And we did get one to kind of knock it a little bit, but didn't get it on video, unfortunately. As you can see, there's the trout out in the background, and was telling us that the green vegetation's about either about 6 inch, a foot deep before you hit hard bottom. And so that explains why we were getting a lot more of our hits when we were doing that Carolina rig, setting the weight on the bottom, and then about an 16 to 18 inch line with that floating the trout bait or Power Nugget, and then with that corn attached to it. So we able to do this several times. In this case, we did the power worm and then put on some trout bait, and this one actually got a hit, just didn't get it on video. But this was, I guess, our most effective setup this round. There it is on the bottom. You'll see some trout moving about here shortly, kind of looking at it, and we suspect that they were coming in and out, kind of circling the area in some cases, but didn't hook any this round with the underwater video setup. But even then, big lesson learned. Set up the weight on the bottom, set it up for a floating rig. We noticed this in past years that Waterloo tends to have a green vegetation on the bottom, pretty thick, and so we noticed having a Carolina rig as well as a float and fishing under a float that tended to keep your bait out of the green stuff, and tend to get more hookups that matter. Alrighty, so I'll just keep it up here a little bit, and then shortly we'll go ahead and pull this in, and we'll be switching it out and removing the camera and set it up for some bottom fishing with that Carolina rig style.
Alright, well, we went to bait and trying to get those underwater shots, and unfortunately weren't able to get it, but rigged up a real quick rig with our bait casting gear. So good to know that you can still catch them with bait casting gear. Here's the rig we used. It's basically a rig here, weight, got this real heavy braided line, and we just got some light line, about maybe 18 inches, and got them hooked themselves. Alright, first one of the day. A case where we had rigged this one up. We were getting hits, but fortunately they were pulling off, so we're using this heavy bait casting gear with braided line to not lose stuff. And well, time to catch some fish, so we just rigged up this real quick rig. Alright, we'll just cast it out, reel it in a little, and we'll just kind of let it float to the bottom and wait for a hit. Alright, we get a little tag again. Kind of bring it in a little bit, let them play with it a little. Well, maybe he stopped. Let's tighten it up a little bit. I don't feel him. Let's go ahead and bring it in. All right, here's number 2. Same rig. Cool beans. All right, this one went for one of those power eggs. All right, here's number 4. One more to go. All right, hopefully this is the last one to make a limit. Let's see something playing with our line. Let's go ahead and tighten up on it. All right, he's on. All right. This one was on the Power Nugget. Oh. No, he's gone. All right, last one. Got him on the corn. So PowerBait Nugget to get it to float, and then the corn. Cool beans.